This episode of Spectre Sound Studios is brought to you by Spectre Digital. Get in on the Black Friday sale now.
There wasn't one single anti-Gibson sentiment in this entire video. This channel has really fallen.
Yeah, sorry to let you down, dude. I'll try harder next time. I mean, making fun of Gibson isn't really difficult after all. All you gotta do is pick up one of their guitars.
Gasp! Glenn finding out a problem in a Harley Benton and calling it out. The Gibson fanboys won't even know how to process this information. It's almost like if he was fearlessly reviewing gear and being straight with his viewers, also because it's not been said enough. Glenn, your guitar chops leaps and bounds, my man. The hours of practice you're putting in are really paying off. I look forward to hearing more and seeing more of your fearless gear reviews. I may not be a musician, but I love watching your channel. Us lowly photographers gotta get our kicks somewhere.
Well, that's the whole thing about this show is I want to be honest. I mean, I know how hard you guys work for the money you make. I did it. I was there for the longest time, working my ass off just like that, trying to build a studio, trying to build some kind of clientele, and the dream was to make records. I just kind of took a detour there in 2014, and here we are, but I've never lost touch with what it means to put in a hard day's work, that's for sure. So I don't want to see people throwing their money away, especially on, guitars with serious issues like this. Oh, look at this. I actually just found another ding in this thing. It's like, son of a bitch. I didn't even see that in my initial review. Everybody who clicked on the video for this, by the way, thank you very much for checking it out. I really, really, really wanted to love this guitar. And the noise issues are a giant pain in the ass. I'm trying to track down the grounding issue. A few of you guys had some really good suggestions, but no luck. I've got a follow-up video coming up next week when we take a look at the offset version of this guitar. You guys are definitely not going to want to miss this. Oh yeah, by the way, before we go any further, guys, could you please do me a favor? If you find the videos useful, if you find them entertaining, if they make you laugh, if they keep you informed, if you appreciate the work that goes into them, please, for the love of Crom, hit the subscribe button. My subscribers have been flat as of late, and I just realized, hey, I haven't asked anybody to subscribe to the show in a very long time. So please, 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 I am basically on my freaking knees begging you guys, hit the subscribe button. I am so close to 500,000 subscribers. It would really, really, really make my day if I could hit that. So please, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much.
Okay. But what changes did you make to the tubes to get the tone shifts?
Oh, somebody finally got it. Yes, that Vintage 30 shootout video I did there last week. Thank you so much for watching it. But yeah, somebody's finally on to me. Yeah. I changed all the speakers, but the real important thing was I went out and found myself some vintage Telefunken tubes, and then I found some vintage Philip tubes and changed them in and out. Yeah, you caught me. Your superior hearing absolutely unlocked the mystery of the guitar tone thing. It wasn't the V30s at all. It was definitely the tubes that were all 12 AX7s.
Dude, why do active pickups just sound weak and gross to me compared to passives?
Confirmation bias, probably. Here's the thing. Have you done actives versus passives in the same guitar with the same settings and everything else? And then I'd ask you this. Are you sure that the only change in your signal was just the pickup and not the guitar and not the amp settings or the microphone position or any other myriad of things that you can change to a guitar's tone? Are you sure it was just the pickups and the pickups alone? I'm going to take a wild guess that the answer to that question is a resounding no.
There's gotta be some effect from the pickups though, right? The Seymour Duncan Invaders on my 2019 Squire Telecaster sound different from the stock humbuckers on my 2003 Gibson Les Paul Studio running through the same amp. I'd love to see a shootout between pickups with charts. Maybe there are some pickup myths that need busting.
Well, hey there, Killer Grooves. I would very much say that there are some pickup myths that need busting. I should have a video coming up next week about that where I start working with a cream tea guitar and it has hot swappable pickups. Believe me, that's not a video you are going to want to miss. As I mentioned earlier, please hit the subscribe button. Now, here's the thing about that. Mostly pickups are going to change your output level. The overall tonal characteristics of the guitar are made up from a lot more than just pickups, I would think. I think the bridge has a great deal to do with it. And remember, the Les Paul Studio has a stop tail bridge, and so there's those whole thing of extra strings resonating behind the actual bridge part, which you wouldn't get on a Telecaster. So that is going to affect your tone. I mean, like I was just thinking about that today, and it's like, even slide playing, if you go between, say, like a copper slide and a glass slide, you're going to get different sounds coming out of your amp. So I would think the way how the bridge reacts with the strings is going to have a major effect on the tone. The other big thing to remember is pickup positioning. That's also going to have a gigantic factor on your overall tone. I mean, like, that's why we have a neck pickup and a bridge pickup, because they're in different positions, and they capture the strings resonating at different lengths, because the string's going to vibrate a lot further the further down the neck it is, as opposed to closer to the bridge. So I'm very curious about the distance from the actual bridge on your 2003 Les Paul towards your Tele. I'm wondering how much of a factor that has on the overall tone of the guitar, if they match exactly, or there is something different in terms of pickup placement. It's something to investigate, and I was just talking to my buddy about this. It would be cool if we could make a guitar where we could take a pickup and slide it down up and down the body instead of just hot swapping it. Actually change the physical positioning of the pickup to see what happens. That'd be interesting to see anyway. And if anybody knows of a guitar like that, I would definitely like to check it out. Hey guys, real quick, it is Black Friday, and that means everything is on sale over at Spectre Digital and Spectre Academy. That's right, we've got 50% off on Extinction Level Event drums. It's going for a whopping $50. It's only going to be on sale for a couple days though. And of course, if you want to grow your skills, we've got massive discounts on everything over at Spectre Academy as well. That's half off on Scott Elliott's amazing course, Guitar Tone Mastery. We got 30% off on all of Henning Pauly's stuff, including the amazing complete guide for programming drums. We've also got Ty Christian's Own the Stage vocal course for only $98. And what's more is we've also got an additional 20% discount going on all of our bundles, which are already heavily discounted. That means you can get the Scott Elliott bundle, you can get the Henning Pauly bundle, hell, you can get my bundle that's even got my course, Mixing Metal with free plugins. Now the sale can't last forever. It's gonna end Monday night because we just can't keep prices this low for very long. So if you're looking to up your recording and mixing game and get the kind of tones you've been dreaming about, now's the time because the sale's not gonna last.
In that movie, Step Brothers, I just want to punch your face. Why I feel this when this guy's thumbnail is there.
Wow, Mitch Jacob, really? My picture makes you want to become a violent thug and punch people just because you don't like the image you're seeing? Really? That's what sets you off? Wow, man. Now, as somebody who's taken anger management twice, all I can say is, dude, you might want to consider getting some help. Seriously, if my picture is pissing you off, I can just imagine what would happen if somebody actually said the word no to you. Like, how violent are you? How much do you enjoy hurting people? Are you some kind of sick sadist or something like that? Seriously, dude, what the hell is wrong with you? Get some fucking therapy before you hurt somebody. Wants to punch your face because of a picture. Man, what a snowflake. Please, somebody get Mitch to a safe space and get him a coloring book.
It's kind of funny that what basically is a giant tamaki made of paper deserves so much attention. It has zero glamour if you think about it. It's also kind of disappointing on a personal level. Coming from a classical guitar background myself, it'd be way easier and nicer if the answer was the strings and tone wood, as is the case in my acoustic instrument. But science is a harsh mistress, isn't it? It really doesn't give a fuck about our feelings. Things are the way they are regardless of our pre- and misconceptions. Perhaps the great revelation is the moment you notice that your feelings make a huge impact on your artistry, but a clear and open mind reveals to you what ultimately is the beauty of the universe. How it actually works. A drop of glue in your speaker affects your tone more than the material your guitar is made of. Sucks, but so does gravity. One more time, our community, thank you for your efforts. Best regards, John.
Oh, thank you so much, John. I really do appreciate that. And you do have a point there. If you drop something onto your speaker or if you get it wet or something like that, that's going to affect the physical movement of the diaphragm of your speaker, and that ultimately will affect your tone. I mean, some of the earliest distortion tones ever came from damaged speakers. The very first recorded distortion tone ever was played by Ike Turner on the song Rocket 88. You can do a YouTube search for it. And what happened was they had this little combo amp that was strapped to the back of the car, and on the way over to the studio, it fell off and it broke the speaker. You know, they were kind of scratching their heads about it and whatnot, and what they did was they stuffed this little combo amp full of paper in some attempt to repair it. And then Sam Phillips had them crank it up, and yeah, lo and behold, they got a distorted tone. Another famously altered speaker tone was the Kinks' You Really Got Me. That was with slashed speaker cone. Jimi Hendrix used to do the same thing to get more distortion in his sound. So yes, doing physical things to the speaker is very much going to affect your tone. Please keep that in mind.
So instead of tone wood, we have tone caps. I know what my next Noik oil business is going to be.
Now, here's the thing about that, Paul. Tone wood is very difficult to measure because nobody's really done two like guitars and built a robot arm to strum a chord or something like that exactly the same way across two guitars, record that, and run a frequency response graph across that. Doing frequency response graphs on speakers is a fairly straightforward operation. That's why my shootout that I did there last week about all those vintage 30s all came with frequency response graphs, because that is a difference we can actually measure. We can see the results and we can see the massive shifts going on in the top end from speaker to speaker. See, I don't just make this stuff up. I don't just pull it out of my ass. I can actually back it up with evidence. Now, here's the thing, as guitar players and studio engineers and people who record guitar and love the sound and all that, shouldn't be satisfied with just taking someone's word for it. We should always demand evidence to back up claims. I believe it was Richard Dawkins who said, extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence. And as far as Tonewood is concerned, nobody has provided any sort of extraordinary evidence.
I have gone to eminent swamp things and mana wars, and OMFG! The sound is godly, never going back to V30s ever! My down pick is crushing now, and the tone is amazing. Check both speakers out. I have a 1x12 of the mana war in it, and the sound is incredible. Wish I had another 1x12 I could put a swamp thing in, because it's killer like the mana war. Most amazing metal speakers I've ever heard. Put them in cross corner, and my killer cab is now a nuclear bomb killer. Check it out.
Hey, John, thanks for the suggestion. You know, I am really getting into the whole speaker thing. Doing a huge deep dive on a bunch of things, and I really do like your suggestions for the eminence. I have the DV77 sitting in my angle cab that really needs a video. I got a whole bunch of Mojo Tone speakers as well, but I do appreciate the suggestion for the Mana War and the Swamp Thing. I've definitely heard the Swamp Thing suggested more than once, so that is something I'm going to look into. Thanks so much for the suggestion. I really want to get with some of those. I think I'm going to put an order in for those in the next week or two, because I'm always about investigating new sounds and whatnot, and chances are, you know what, they probably are a very cool metal tone. Thanks again, dude.
Hi, Glenn. Thanks for calling bullshit again. Now, as all V30s are exactly the same, we can perhaps distinguish between them by which genre of music they fit most, i.e. we have two identical V30s here, but this one sounds darker, is more suited for sludge doom metal, and this one sounds brighter, so it's good for punk. Other than that, they are identical. But that room EQ wizard got me thinking. If you ever repeat that tube swapping test, you can use it to visually show us how much different tubes affect the sound of an amp. I am willing to bet that even if REW will show no differences, guitar morons will still argue that tubes are the most important part of the signal chain. BRM.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're right. That's the thing. People, we love to cling to preconceived notions even when presented with tremendous amounts of evidence to the contrary. That's why in the 21st century, we still have religion, because people love to cling to comforting nonsense. It's unfortunate, but that's just the nature of the game. And unfortunately, when it comes to tubes, I think they have built up some kind of mysterious religion around them. But here's the thing. After doing that video where I did all the measurements on the V30s and called Tolman on their bullshit, that really did get me thinking about the tube test video. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to do another tube test video. I've been wanting to do it for a while. I've talked with a few people and got some suggestions on how to make the test even better. And number one is going to be using Room EQ Wizard. So yes, stay tuned for that. It's going to be awfully fun, because that's what we need to do, is we need to start putting frequency response graphs on these tubes and seeing exactly what happens. But then again, tube manufacturers don't ship tubes with frequency response graphs, and there's a very good reason for that.
Glenn! So I pulled the trigger on the EVH Hempback combo to replace the 7080s my 2x12 Marshall cab, purchased from Sweetwater, by the way, only to find out that the Hempback is on back order. You wouldn't happen to have a Hempback that you want to sell, do you?
Unfortunately, Ed, no. Mine are not for sale. I actually got engineering samples of the Hempbacks. They literally have the serial numbers handwritten on them, and it's like, that's one of the cases you can have them from my cold, dead hands. I know Celestian's been struggling to get those out to market. I don't know what the deal is there, but the struggle is real. And, you know, I visited them in August, and they were assured me that they were going to have them out this fall. Apparently they're not ready yet. I'd say just keep your fingers crossed, and hopefully they show up sooner rather than later. But yeah, they're a wonderful combo. The Hempback and the EVHs, really cool stuff. And I certainly hope Celestian gets those out and gets them into people's hands, because they are awesome speakers. They're just a little dark, so keep that in mind. Kind of want to put your mic dead center on those ones.
That first 2022 model is just my favorite sounding speaker recently. Absolutely brutal. By the way, thanks for being the voice of reason. The scientific method is an absolute slap in the face of audio companies, which regularly force feeding crap to the gullible morons that we are, and it's time to buy new equipment. Keep on defending the average Joe, even if he's a money-wasting Gibson fan.
Well, Jimmy, thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Here's the thing. I'm not trying to slap anybody in the face. I'm just trying to say, hey, let's take some measurements here and see what's really going on. Ultimately, though, the whole idea behind this show is consumer advocacy for you guys out there. I'm going to do the test. I'm going to take the heat from the company so you guys can make a much more informed decision, because ultimately I'm not here to sell you stuff. I'm here to help you make a better choice.
Never thought that the same model of a speaker could produce a different sound output under the exact same usage, which is both interesting and concerning. You constantly yell about the importance of speakers when it comes to the tone of the guitar being more important than the pickup strings, etc. So is it buying speakers akin to playing the lottery for getting that tone that you seek?
Unfortunately, yeah, it kind of is the lottery. Here's the insane thing. Those 2022 vintage 30s that I did the initial video on there that sound magnificent and that I'm a huge fan of, they don't sound the same since I did the test. I don't know if I fucked something up when I was running the test tone through them. It's like I put it back in the cabinet and it just doesn't quite have the same low and top that it used to. Here's the thing, and I'm really scratching my head. I might have actually fucked myself really good here, because I was going to do the test in a custom 1x12 that my buddy built, but he built a hole just a little too small for the speaker, and I screwed it in. I started screwing in the other, and the screw got stuck, and I'm wondering if I might have accidentally bent the speaker's basket ever so slightly and just warped it a little bit, because the speaker is actually tensioned to go around that, much like a drum head. So I'm wondering if I fucked something up there and that affected the overall outcome of the tone. So I might have accidentally ruined my favorite speaker ever. So believe me, I am feeling like an absolute moron for this, and I should have been more careful. Fortunately though, I did take an impulse response of it before I fucked it up, so there is that. It still sounds pretty good, but it's missing that wonderful that it originally had. So I am stuck with the digital snapshot of it for now, and I spent like the last week and a half trying to replicate the tone, and it's never happened. And it's hilarious. I called up a few of my engineer buddies. I'm like, you ever get the greatest guitar sound of your career and then never able to get it again? And my buddy's like, yeah, every single day. I'm not sure what the deal is there. I've definitely had situations where I've recorded a great mic'd up cabinet out in the other room and then go to do it the exact same way with the exact same amp, speaker, everything, microphone, and still can't get the same tone. So I don't know if it's the speaker that screwed up or something else changed. Who knows? I recorded those guitars initially back at the end of September. There was a lot more humidity in the air. Humidity definitely affects the way how sound travels through air, and I'm officially at 34% humidity right here in the studio right now. In other words, that is dry as fuck. And at the end of September, I know we had much more humidity in the air, so I might actually buy a humidifier for the studio and do some experience to see if that changes the tone. There's also the idea that possibly, the speaker has been broken in now and that's changed the tone. That's a test I really want to make, is how much is breaking in a speaker really going to affect the sound. I haven't seen any good examples of that yet, so that is definitely one video that's on my must-do list.
I was like rolling my eyes thinking they would all sound the same because of the YouTube compression, but even through the compression I was able to hear massive differences between the 6 speakers.
Yeah, that's something I always see get thrown around in the comments quite a bit. YouTube compression this, YouTube compression that. You can hear quite a bit through the YouTube audio, believe me. And the reason you can hear so much of a difference between the 6 speakers is because the speaker is the single most important part of your guitar's signal chain. The guitar speaker is like the Millennium Falcon of your guitar parts. It's not glamorous, but boy does it ever pack a punch.
You should do a video where you run an EQ match plugin on the V30s to see if we can get our shitty ones to sound similar to the good ones. It would be interesting to see what the corrective curve looks like.
Tim, I've done it. I've done it with Ozone's Match EQ, and yeah, the curve is not pretty. It's pretty severe, to be honest with you. I've done some matches where I've taken some of the Illstorm tracks and put them up against mine, and yeah, it gets pretty hilarious. It's a wonderful EQ. It really does the thing and gets you that kind of sound. The only problem is you can't play it through it in real time. You get like a couple milliseconds of delay, and it just feels weird because you're hearing this sound come through so much later, and it's like, damn it. Here's one thing I've been asking Isotope to do to see if we can make that EQ curve and then print that into some kind of output that we can put into another equalizer that we can run in real time. I asked for that. I don't think we're going to get it anytime soon, but fingers crossed. If anybody knows any other great Match EQ plugins, please let me know. As far as I know, though, the Ozone one is definitely the most accurate. That's at least for the ones I've tried.
How about buying a bunch of new V30s from the same lot and measure the differences between them? Maybe we were talking about production tolerances here.
Funny you should say that. I just ordered 4 of these things in from Sweetwater. They just came in today. And yes, they are still factory sealed. I think these are going to be about as close as I can get to having them from the same production line. That was another thing that came up is, if I order these things online, am I going to get the 2022 models? And that's where everybody's, all the big retailers are like, oh, no, there's no differences. There's no differences. And I'm like, yeah, we can measure the differences. I talked to the Sweetwater guys and they said, well, their stock goes pretty quick, so there's a very good chance you got the new ones here. So I've got 4 I need to unbox. I'm definitely going to be checking this out, and I'm going to be doing a follow-up video and hopefully getting one of those amazing tones again and doing a whole bunch of impulse captures on it this time, because I'm still kicking myself about how I screwed the last good one up with the tone tests.
Visual differences of dust caps, tone comparison soloed and in the mix, spectrum analysis. This had to be the most laborious effort, but the results speak for themselves. Ill-informed claims towards Glenn can be aptly discarded. Good on you, Glenn. Well done.
Yeah, thanks very much, Nick. I really do appreciate that. And here's the thing. If somebody's going to call me ill-informed, yeah, you can expect me to call them out on that bullshit, that's for sure. I've got no problem doing the work to show exactly what I'm talking about. And if it means having to do scientific measurements to prove a point, I will absolutely do that. Better than, oh, just take my word for it. Because that's just, nobody learns anything that way.
Is the vintage 30 worth the extra $50? I have a PV shitfield cabinet of 4x12 with 170/80 and I want to replace the 3 remaining shitfields. JVM 410H is the amp. I love some divine guidance on this. Yesterday I figured it was between A-type and V-type, and V-type was winning. But there's possibly a longer view here that if I'm much better off dumping dollars on a new set of vintage 30s, I'd like to know. Other ruminations are, I wonder why there's any advantage to mixing vintage 30s with V-types, maybe 2 in each in a 4x12. I'd save $100. I'd so appreciate being told what to do here, regardless of the ambiguities of individual tastes.
Well, there's no question that the vintage 30 is super popular and is going to be a great choice. I think I got mine for about $160 each through Sweetwater, so there is that. A couple of really great choices, a couple of personal favorites of mine are the Celestion EVHs. They're basically the G12M greenbacks, but they're voiced to be more like a 60s greenback, and that's why they've got the Eddie Van Halen logo on them. And do not confuse this with the EVH Iconic series made by Celestion, because those ones are not very good at all. Spend the extra money and get the actual EVHs, the ones with the red badges. Those are spectacular. Other great speaker choices, of course, are the Hesu Demons. If you're thinking about upgrading your speakers, reach out to the Hesu guys. Those things are absolutely phenomenal. Can't go wrong with them at all. Some of my personal favorite speakers as of late. Just simply brilliant stuff. Good luck on your speaker search, man. It can be a lot of fun, and honestly, it's probably a little cheaper than buying pedals.
As a former employee of Oxford Speaker Corp and Harman International Manufacturing loudspeakers for 10 years, I can attest to Glenn's speaker theory. Adding weight to the motor assembly or the cone assembly does in fact change the speaker's characteristics and resonant frequency. Less weight equals a better transient response, more weight adds VAS, pretty much the volume air that you move. Treated cloth surrounds tend to sound more natural. Rubber and pressed foam sounds only just allow the cone to move more, thus moving more air, and IMHO doesn't sound near as good. Speaker is in fact the last in the signal chain and makes a huge impact on what you hear.
Well, thank you very much, Kevin James. It's very nice to get some feedback from some people who actually work in the industry and to confirm that, yes, I am not, in fact, out of my mind. I've based my conclusions on 2 decades of making records here in the studio and going down the rabbit hole of going through all the forums and trying to glean what information I can and learning that most of it is complete and total nonsense and not based in any kind of reality whatsoever. Looking to improve your guitar sound? Start with your speaker and work your way backwards.
It's awesome seeing such balance from you and your channel, Glenn. The humility and humbleness you showed through the whole constructive suggestions section of this video was super refreshing to see. Humans aren't really known for embracing much objectivity in our perceptions, so it's always nice to see come across someone, I don't know, fucking genuine. Cheers, buddy.
Back on the Celestion video. Thank you, Jeffrey. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, Mark Lewis chimed in with a couple of really good suggestions. Mark's a very good friend of the show. I've had him on here before, and his track record is impeccable. So when he's making suggestions on maybe how to do a better test, believe me, I listen. I got a lot of great advice on how to make better tests, so I'm going to keep doing better tests. If you guys have ideas on how I can make my tests better or what you'd like to see, I'm always open to suggestions. Please feel free to leave some comments below. I do make an effort to read every single one of them. Thanks.
Keep playing on camera, Glenn. I love seeing people having fun on guitar that aren't professional prodigies. It's like you're saying, hey, you can have fun too.
Hang on a second, man. Nobody's allowed to have fun playing guitar on the internet. You're supposed to be perfect all the time. That's the rules. At least as far as modern metal productions go, we all know modern metal is just absolutely amazing. It has to be, because they fixed everything. All right, that's it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching. Once again, I'm going to beg. Please, 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 for the love of Chrome, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. It really does help out the channel and just helps me keep going. And besides, I really do love hearing from you guys, and hitting that subscribe button kind of makes my day just a little bit better. Please don't forget, we've got that massive Black Friday sale going on right now over at Spectre Digital. We've got discounts on everything, including Extinction Level Event for only $50. And we've got 20% discounts on all the bundles, which are already heavily discounted. And then we've got massive discounts across all the courses online there as well. So if you wanted to get the Cock Blocker or Extinction Level Event or Metal Drum Programming Mastery, or even Henning Pauly's absolutely brilliant complete guide to drum programming, please head on over to Spectre Digital right now. Links are in the description below. Sale's only going to be on for a couple days and ends end of day Monday. These kind of prices over at Spectre Digital only come up once a year. Go grab some savings today. Oh yeah, and if you guys missed it and you want to know what the hell I was talking about the speaker shootout video with all the measurements and whatnot, we've got a link to that video right here. Check it out. It's a deep dive and it's definitely worth a couple of minutes watching.